All right, buckle up because today's deep dive is taking us on like a virtual road trip across the USA.
Oh, listen.
We're diving headfirst into your doc, the cost of living, minimum wages, and working hours in the USA.
Right.
And trust me on this one,
Okay.
you'll want to stick around for this, whether you're eyeing a one-way ticket
Okay.
or just fascinated by the American dream.
Yeah.
Now, we're all about chasing dreams here, but let's be real. Those dreams,
Yeah.
they come with a price tag.
For sure.
Expert speaker, this source doesn't sugarcoat the reality of living costs across the U.S., does it?
No, not at all.
Really?
It's like stepping into one of those choose your own adventure novels.
Okay.
Except instead of like magical creatures and stuff, you're picking
Yeah.
between a shoebox apartment in Manhattan or a spacious ranch house in Texas. And the prices, well, let's just say they're as different as a Broadway show in a Texas rodeo.
Okay, paint us a picture here. How
Well-
different are we talking?
So imagine this. You're strolling down a sunny street in San Francisco,
Okay.
dreaming about that tech job.
All right.
But hold on, that one-bedroom apartment you need could easily cost you over $3,000 a month.
Ouch. I'm feeling the pinch just thinking about it.
Yeah.
So big city living equals big city expenses.
Yeah, you could practically lease a luxury car
Right.
for that price in some parts of the country.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's the alternative for those of us who haven't quite hit the Silicon Valley jackpot?
Well, that's where those choose-your-own-adventure options come in.
Okay.
The source points to states like Texas, Ohio, and Florida as havens of affordability.
Okay.
Think $800 and $1,200 for that same one bedroom. Yeah, it's all about trade-offs, maybe fewer job opportunities in your specific field.
Right.
But hey, you might actually be able to afford avocado toast and rent.
It's the little victories, right?
Exactly.
But it's not just rent we're talking about here, is it?
Right.
This doc also mentions something about healthcare costs being a major factor.
You hit the nail on the head. Remember that choose-your-own-adventure analogy?
Yeah.
Well, healthcare in the U.S. is like that hidden chapter that can really throw a wrench in your quest
Okay.
for the American dream.
Right.
Because those costs, they can vary wildly depending on where you live your job and what type of insurance you have.
Yeah.
It's a whole other deep dive waiting to happen.
Right.
But the key takeaway here is factor healthcare into your budget because it can make or break your financial stability.
It's like that unexpected plot twist that leaves you frantically flipping back through the pages.
Exactly.
So we've got housing costs, throwing punches in the ring, and healthcare waiting for a surprise attack.
Right.
What else should our listeners know about this cost of living roller coaster?
Well,
Well, the good news is, at least in some states, your paycheck might pack a slightly bigger punch.
okay.
This document dives into the whole minimum wage maze, and it's fascinating stuff. Expert speaker.
Yeah, fascinating and frankly,
Yeah.
a little absurd. It's 2024
I know.
and the federal minimum wage is still stuck at $7.25 an hour.
I know.
So that's like trying to buy a smartphone
Right.
at 2009 prices.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Talk about being stuck in a time warp.
Right.
But it's not all doom and gloom, right? Some states decided to take matters into their own hands.
Absolutely. They realize that people need to afford more than just flip phones and dial-up internet.
Yeah.
So they set their own minimum wages. California, for example, is at $15.50 an hour for 2024.
Okay.
And Washington State, they're practically rolling in dough by comparison. At least it's $16.28 an hour.
Okay, so a glimmer of hope for those folks. But that still leaves a lot of people stuck with that federal minimum. What does that mean for their American dream, especially with those big city price tags we talked about?
Honestly, it makes things incredibly tough.
Yeah.
Imagine trying to make rent, buy groceries, and maybe even, dare I say, enjoy a night out
Right.
on $7.25 an hour in a city like New York or San Francisco.
Yeah.
It's practically impossible.
Yeah.
The source actually cites a study saying you'd need at least $20 an hour just to comfortably cover basic expenses in most major cities.
Wow, that puts things into perspective. So for a lot of people, that dream might feel more like a distant fantasy.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder about the whole land of opportunity thing, doesn't it?
It does raise some questions.
Yeah.
This patchwork of minimum wages across the U.S.
Right.
It has real consequences.
Yeah.
Some people might even move states just for a higher minimum wage,
Right.
which creates its own set of challenges and opportunities.
So it's like a real-life game of Monopoly with people chasing higher paychecks and hoping to avoid landing on boardwalk with sky-high rent.
Exactly. And let's not forget the impact this has on businesses, local economies, and even political debates. It's a complex issue with no easy answers.
Speaking of complex issues, let's move on to another American work-life staple, the 40-hour work week. Now, on paper, this sounds pretty standard, right? But this doc hints that the reality can be a little different.
Yeah.
It's like that fine print everyone skips over in the excitement, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. On paper, 40 hours. In reality, it's like
Yeah, and
the American work ethic in a nutshell.
yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, while the Fair Labor Standards Act is there, it's supposed to guarantee overtime pay for anything over 40 hours.
Right.
There are loopholes the size of Texas.
Okay, so loophole number one being
Certain industries, the source calls out tech and startups specifically, like those move fast and break things environments.
yeah.
Turns out things can include your work-life balance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not uncommon at all for those high-pressure roles to involve late nights, weekend work, enough coffee to fuel a rocket launch.
Wow.
All without seeing an extra dime in overtime pay.
All in the name of innovation, right?
Pretty much.
So it's hustle culture wins in the tech world.
Yeah, you could say that.
What about those of us who aren't trying to become the next big unicorn startup?
Right.
What does the work week look like in other industries?
It's a mixed bag,
Yeah.
honestly. The source mentions healthcare and retail,
Okay.
which often have more flexible, rotating shifts.
Yeah.
Sounds great for work-life balance in theory, right?
Right.
But in reality, it can mean unpredictable schedules, working nights, weekends, holidays even.
Yeah. Talk about a double-edged sword.
Exactly.
Flexibility on the one side, juggling a million schedules on the other.
Yep.
And let's not forget the elephant in the Zoom meeting room.
Oh, yeah.
Remote work.
Right.
The ultimate work-life blur.
Yeah, for sure.
This source makes a good point. While remote work has been a game changer for flexibility,
Yeah.
it's also made it harder to truly switch off.
Right.
When your office is your living room, those work hours can easily creep into your personal time.
For sure.
So we've got these expensive cities, a minimum wage that hasn't caught up to the price of a latte, and work weeks that feel like they never end.
Right.
It paints a pretty interesting picture of life in the U.S., wouldn't you say?
It certainly does. It's definitely a country of contrasts and contradictions. On one hand, you have the land of opportunity where anyone can chase their dreams. But on the other hand, you have this reality where those dreams often come with a hefty price tag. And they require a lot of hard work, resilience, and maybe a little bit of luck.
For those listening who might be considering their own American adventure, what's the one thing you really want them to take away from all of this?
I think the biggest takeaway is that the American dream isn't one size fits all. It's a tapestry of different experiences and challenges and triumphs. It's about understanding the realities, both good and bad, and then figuring out what trade-offs you're willing to make for yourself.
Yeah.
Research is key. Knowledge is power.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
Know yourself, do your research, and buckle up for the ride, because the American experience is rarely boring.
That's the truth.
This has been a wild ride through the ups and downs of American life, but hey, that's what these deep dives are all about, right?
Exactly.
Uncovering those hidden gems and the not-so-glamorous truths.
For sure. It's about understanding the nuances and complexities of a topic.
Yeah.
And I think we've definitely done that today.
I think so, too. Well, thanks for diving in with me today, expert speaker. And for all of you listening, until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep asking those deep questions.
That's